Hello and welcome to another training run video. So what I do in a training run video is I just practice on Rocket League when I talk about something that interests me. And what I want to talk about today is the Falcons. They finally won a LAN, bro. They finally won a major. I'm so happy for them. Now before I get into glazing the Falcons, which I will, because the Falcons has always been a thing that I always rooted for. Same with Furia. Like Furia is the next one that needs to win a major, bro. Because Furia and the Falcons, they always make it really far, and until now they never, Falcons never really won, but they always make it really far. So I think Furia is the next team that would be hype if they win like a major. A Worlds, dude, that would be incredible. I don't even know about that, but winning a major at least, or winning some lands, that would be great for Furia. But before I talk about the Falcons, I do want to talk about Dignitas. I want to talk about Dig. I want to talk about Abjack and Jurius and Stizzy, because they all play great, dude. Especially like Game 5 with Jurius hitting some nutty shots. Like what the? It's like old Jurius, bro. Once upon a time, Jurius was considered like the GOAT. You know what I mean? And now we're kind of seeing him back, and that's really fun to see. And it's fun to see Jack playing with him again, because Jack went to Gen G and all that, and they didn't do that great. They did pretty well, don't get me wrong, with Gen G, but he seems to fit a lot better with Dignitas. And Stizzy, bro, Stizzy got moves like that. That boy has handles, bro. Like I saw him do some really good stuff at the majors, like in terms of like his shots, and he's a very techie guy. I remember one play, he just went against all three of them and he just scored. He just brute forced it, bro. I don't even know how. But yeah, Dignitas played really well. I can't even fault them. The problem is that the Falcons have really perfected their formula in terms of how they play. Now listen, I'm not an expert on Rlcs, okay? Although I have been watching it for a couple of years now, okay? Like I know my fair share, but obviously I'm not, one of those guys that does analytics and all that. I mainly go from experience and from what I've seen. And here's the thing, Dignitas, I can't exactly pinpoint how Dignitas plays, like their formula. For me, it's hard to pinpoint exactly how Dignitas plays. They all back each other pretty well, but I can't particularly pinpoint a specific formula like I can with the Falcons, because with the Falcons, it seems very apparent that you have killers at the first position, mainly, because he's an offensive juggernaut, as they say. And then you have Rlcs, and then you have TRK, and they all cover each other really well. Their recoveries are ridiculously stupid. They play very close to each other. They play like a very high risk, high reward kind of gameplay, which makes the Mina boys, they tend to play like that, and it makes the gameplay really entertaining to watch, because they're not holding back. They're playing it safe to an extent, but they're more going for it. You know what I mean? And they kind of always played like this, and that's why they've always been interesting to watch. But the thing is, they've been doing it for so long now that they kind of perfected that kind of play style. See, with Dignitas, I can't pinpoint exactly that. I can't say that they do that. But with the Falcons, it's very apparent that they do. Oh, bro, it's so hard to talk and play. Honestly, it's so hard to talk and play. Ah. Oh, that was so scuffed. Now I'm gonna tell you why they won, and it's not exactly a big secret. Because honestly, just let me put it like this. You got one of the best offensive players, if not the best offensive player and killers, right? And then you got one of the best defensive players in Rlcs. And then you have TRK, which is the GOAT, which complements them both. With that kind of dynamic, how can you not win? It's surprising that it took this long for them to win, because they always kind of had this dynamic. But the thing is that Rlcs has always been like, I think that Rlcs has always been a little bit more praised than killers. But killers in this season, or in this specific major, he's really been popping off. He's really been growing into like they've been saying, this offensive juggernaut. They're like this guy that is so great offensively. And I think, mind you, like I said, I'm not a coach or anything, but I think the Falcons formation mainly works, or at its best at its formula works with you got killers up front, playing one, alternating with the two, obviously with the three position. They obviously they all have to alternate their positions, right? But I'm talking about mainly playing which position they mainly play, right? So I think Khalil's obviously being such a strong offensive force, you mainly have him at the one. That's why he scored a lot of goals in this major, right? Because he's always there. Because he's always there in front doing cleanup duty with the goals and everything. And then you got Rawas playing. I think Rawas is the most, how do I say that, the most prolific out of them in terms of like playing positions. Because Rawas can play one, two. Obviously, they all can play all the positions, right? But I think Rawas is really good at the second position, controlling the midfield. They're all great at controlling the midfield. That's one of the reasons the Falcons are so good, because they keep the pressure up, and they do that while controlling the midfield and covering each other really well. And like I said, they're not playing it that safe. They're always on the attack, and it's relentless. You know what I mean? You can see that in the Dignitas games. So yeah, you got Rawas on the second position, and you know he's alternating with the first position. He's alternating with the third, and he's being a playmaker. You know what I mean? If he's not scoring himself, he's setting up a pass or defending. And then you got TRK, which I think plays a bit more, the third part, than Rawas a little bit more, but he also does the same thing as Rawas. He's also a playmaker. He can give you a goal. He can give you an assist. Actually, they did so many good passing plays, dude. The Falcons, and like I said, their pressure was so ridiculous, dude. When you add that all three of these guys are very skillful players, you add the formation, you add that little formula that they have, you add to that they also have great recovery, great pleasure. That they, like I said, they tend to be super aggressive. You add all those things together, and you really do have like a winning team, bro. You really do. And it's gonna be great seeing them go into Worlds and see what they can do, bro. If Falcons wins Worlds, I'm gonna be so hyped. Honestly, I would say obviously the MVP was Killers, and he's one of, I honestly think the Falcons won. Like the missing element that they were missing was Killers stepping up and being such an offensive force. Because even though, like I said, they already had that dynamic as a team, Killers, I just gotten way better as a shooter, as an offensive force, like I said, and that little extra bump made them champions. Listen, like I said, I'm no RLCS expert. There's a couple of teams that I follow enough to kind of figure out what their dynamic is. You know what I mean? For example, I used to follow a lot Vitality back when they had Radosin and Alpha. Is it Alpha? Oh my god, I forgot his name. See, back when they had Radosin used to play the first man a lot, and that benefited a lot by Vitality because they were really like an offensive threat, where Radosin just being a nuisance at one. That's how I came to respect Radosin, honestly, as a player. Because they had a clear dynamic that worked for them, and it's kind of the same with the Falcons, right? They have like a clear dynamic to them that just works, you know. And they found their groove. They found a formula that works. I don't know if all the teams, probably most teams have like a formula like that. I just haven't noticed it because I don't follow those teams closely enough. But the things that I follow closely enough, like I can see the formula or why they work so well as a team. You know what I mean? And with Falcons, like I see that, and I kind of see it with Furia too. I kind of see it with KC too. With Vitality, I can't see it that much now that they have Monkey Moon and Exotic. Even though Monkey Moon, the last time that I saw Vitality was on Saturday. I kind of missed him playing on Sunday, but he played great on Saturday. But with KC, I kind of see it a little bit more. I kind of understand it a little bit more. With some things, at least for me, it's the dynamic is way more apparent than other teams. You know what I mean? The Falcons are kind of like developing, kind of perfecting this play style that I think is so risky. It's ridiculously risky, I think, in my opinion, because I think most teams, like, I'll give you an example, like when you're playing threes, right, and you see all three defenders are covering the net. You kind of stay away. You kind of back away a little bit in case they force it to your half and to try to prevent a goal. Like, Falcons don't care, bro. Falcons see all three of them and they keep attacking. And then the thing is, you can only save the ball so many times, right? At one point, you're going to expose yourself. And that's what the Falcons capitalized on. They kept that pressure up. Where I think as another team, they would have the mindset of backing away. Oh, no, they're defending the net too much. I got to back away and prevent a goal. No, bro. The Falcons are always there, and they're not that far away from each other. You always have one in the one position, and then you have the second position going back and attacking, going to the first position, and they keep the attack up, and they just keep going and going and going. And they're still covering the net. You know what I mean? Mind you, like I said, it's a risky, I think, sort of play style, because there's a couple of times that you can see that it completely works out against them, because they're all pushing forward, and some of the goals that they score against them, nobody's on net, bro, or you probably have only one guy back. They're trading, like I said, it's a high risk, high reward kind of play style, but they're able to pull it off because the rotations are pretty good. The recoveries are insane. I think the main reason they can pull that kind of play style off is because their recoveries are just insane. Honestly, like I said, they've been playing this way for a long time now, and they kind of perfected. I wouldn't say it's perfect yet, okay? Because it's hard to say anything's perfect, okay? But they figured out how to make that play style a lot safer and a lot more effective offensively. And honestly, it's overwhelming when it comes to the offensive side of it. And that's the kind of play time that always took them far, very far, as a team. But it never quite won them a major. But like I said, now the Killers is a lot better. And TRK has always been the GOAT. I'm sorry to say, bro. Like, TRK has always been good to me. Like, he's always, for me, he's the backbone of the Falcons. Just like I see Atomic being the backbone of NRG, I think TRK is the backbone of the Falcons. And I always respected him. And he's always done that really well, like at a high level. But the main difference to me was Killers. Was Killers stepping up and becoming a better offensive player. And Ross has also gotten a lot better too, bro. Like, it's ridiculous. This team has like so much potential. Honestly, they could win Worlds. I'm not sure if they're my favorite to win Worlds. I'm a Red Ops fanboy, okay? But Red Ops is not gonna win Worlds anytime soon, I think. So I don't have a particular team that I'm, ride or die with. But like I said, I always liked the Falcons. I always thought they were a great team that deserved to win a championship or to win a LAN at one point, and I'm glad they did. So big up to the Mina boys, and I'm looking forward to Worlds. Let me see if I can hear something. No, maybe.